the experiment we are doing is a little bit different than what I showed you. So here we have glued the cell onto a tipless cantilever so that the cell itself serves as the probe. And so we bring it in contact with the substrate and measure what is called the force relaxation curve. So you see here the force as a function of time. And at this particular point, we stop here the indentation and measure just the force relaxation. And since it's a viscoelastic entity, so the cell starts relaxing. And this is the relaxation part here with this yellow box here. And in order to describe this, we have looked deeper into what is called shell theory. Since we want to describe our cell, this is a typical spherical cell. It has lots of wrinkles here, but essentially it's a thin layer here of maybe 100, 200 nanometers, considering that the cell size is around maybe 5 to 10 microns. We can describe that as a shell here with the typical Hamiltonian that comprises the bending part. So this is basically bending, this is topology. Then we have tension that comes from stretching. There's the cell, every entity which is spherical and that you deform experiences area dilatation. And this area dilatation puts a penalty on the Hamiltonian and gives rise to force response. And this is this part, and this is the external force we are adjusting. So in order to get it as simple as possible, since we want to actually fit the data and not come up with one model, then we could use finite elements or something like this. We have looked at the dominant term here of this Hamiltonian. And if you look at the energy, which is concerned with stretching to bending, it relates like the radius of the cell to the thickness of the shell. And since the thickness of the shell is way smaller than the radius, and this is squared here, we get a value of 1000. That means that the stretching term dominates over the bending term, so we can neglect this first term here. And everything is now lumped into what is called the tension. The tension is comprising a cortical tension here, the so-called pre-stress, and of course something which is very similar, like a two-dimensional Hooke's law. So you have here the area compressibility modulus times the relative area change. So what happens if you indent such a cell is that you increase the area, and that puts an energy penalty and gives rise to a force. That is the theory behind the shell theory we are using here. All right, so we had now to consider the right geometry. That is the only difficult part here, and that has already been done by soap bubble physics. And so we could come up with something where the force is related to the tension, and here we have the geometry part. The only thing which is missing right now is the force relaxation part, meaning the viscous contribution. And for that purpose, we are using an area compressibility modulus that obeys a so-called power law with the power law exponent beta here. So we have a scaling factor and we have a power law exponent. So this is inherently a time scale-free behavior. You can rationalize that by having so many different relaxation times due to the complexity of the cortex, that this is justified to put everything here in this fluidity parameter beta. The next thing is we need to actually implement that into a model that captures the viscoelastic memory. And for that purpose, we use the elastic viscoelastic correspondence principle, where you have this memory kernel here, and here you have the change in the relative area with time, and that gives us equation for the compression and also for the relaxation here by having just different limits of the integral. To cut a long story short, so we came up with a model that is easily implementable. So it's a fitting function, an analytical fitting function that helps us now to describe the data even for different velocities. So this has been indented here, the cell, at 0.5 micrometers per second, and this here 10 times faster. And these are two fits with the same parameters here, and showing how nicely the data is described by that model. And comprises three parameters. That is a pre-stress. It's a purely elastic entity. And we have the area compressibility modulus, the scaling factor, and the fluidity beta. Three parameters that fit this curve here, regardless of the velocity at which we indent here. All right, so this is not the only verification of that model. So what you also can do is you can look at the shape which we also extract, since we compute the shape at each indentation depth precisely. And for that purpose, we have used here a cell that is from Clemens Fallscope here. We have indented, this cell has been indented, and we described it here by this kind of shape which we got from our model. And this is the indenter. Here you see it's a sphere that indents into the cell. So the corresponding, this is not exactly the same curve which corresponds to that experiment, but what you can also see is the difference between a viscoelastic Hertz model, where the viscoelasticity has also been included by time-dependent elasticity modulus. And what you see is that this is the red curve is the tangent model, the model from shell theory, and the blue one is the Hertz model. And what you can see is that it doesn't fit very well here in this part, and especially here at the turning point, when the curve is going back, you see that the fit does not really explain the data very well. All right, but the most important thing is, does that solve our problem that the elastic modulus should not depend on the